First up, E3 happened last month, and in terms of retro news, the biggest announcement was probably that a remake of cult PC adventure Grim Fandango is coming exclusively for the PlayStation 4 and PS Vita. For everything else covered in the show, you can see my roundup of the event, which I'll link to at the end of this video. Second up, if you're purchasing a derelict building, you probably wouldn't expect to find a horde of arcade gaming machines lying in wait inside, but that's exactly what one fortunate buyer in Japan found. The hall included a range of ancient cabinets, including ones from Namco and Sega. There are 3 more arcade-related pieces of news for you too, the first being that the Australian branch of children's charity Make-A-Wish set up a retro gaming arcade in the back of a lorry, with 50 children and their families getting involved. Second is that a new retro arcade bar has been set up in Peckham in London, named the Four Quarters. More information on it can be found in the link in this video's description. Third is that a prototype of the previously thought lost arcade version of Primal Rage 2 was found at a US arcade, and made playable for all. Next up is that a book named The Ultimate Guide to Amiga PD Games was also released, which, as its title suggests, takes a look at 200 of the best public domain titles available for the Commodore Amiga. A digital copy will set you back £1.29. In more book news, a Kickstarter was launched for one titled The Story of the ZX Spectrum in Pixels. It's £10 for a digital copy and £25 for a physical one for you to caress, if you're that way inclined. A new title was also discovered this month for the 64DD, the disk drive add-on for the Nintendo 64. Don't get too excited though, it's just Super Mario 64, and it's pretty much the same as the original version of the game. It was, as usual, a busy month for the 3DS and Wii U eShops. They both saw several titles including Game Boy Advance games Wario Land 4, Pac-Man Collection and Mario Power Tennis, SNES Fighter Super Punch-Out, and NES side-scrollers Pac-Land and Super C. The 3DS's eShop got a couple more NES titles all to itself too, namely Super Dodgeball and Mac Rider. Sony's systems also saw a handful of ports released through PSN, namely PS2 RPG Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga and the Putty Squad remake on PS3, as well as Gradius Collection and Castlevania The Dracula X Chronicles on PSP. Next, Another World, 20th Anniversary Edition, got a wide release on the 3DS, Wii U, PS4, PS3, PS Vita and Xbox One. It was pretty quiet on smartphones this month though, with Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse for Android being the only new retro release. To round off things, the remake of ZX Spectrum title Slightly Magic has received a release date, namely the 7th of July. It's coming to iOS, Android, PC, Mac and Ouya. To start, a European release date has been set for the Retron 5 at last, with the system that plays NES, SNES, Mega Drive, Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance titles arriving in the region sometime in September. Second is the news that a device called the DDI-1 clone has been released for the Amstrad CPC, which allows you to use a modern disk drive with the system. Next is that a shrunk-down version of the ZX Spectrum is in the works, and is titled the ZX Uno. Unlike the original British system, it boasts an SD card slot though, and will be priced at around £25. No release date has been given for the system at this time. And last up, a trio of weird modified Nintendo systems, including a GameCube coerced into the case of an Atari Lynx, an N64 transformed into a Barbie Corvette, and finally a delightful Yoshi-themed SNES. To open this section, I'll list the traditional load of original Homebrew, including platformer Marco Gregorio's Adventures to Unusual Places on the Commodore Amiga and CD32, Filia on the Atari Jaguar CD, Landmaster on the NES, Game Panic LCD for the Atari 2600, and Willy the Wasp for the ZX Spectrum. There were a few amusing hacks released in June too, including a demake of Mario Kart 8 for the SNES, Duke Nukem 2.5D, and Super Mario Bros. 3, which actually remakes the entire game with brand new levels and has the ability to save. Next is the long-thought-lost Sharp X68000 shoot-'em-up Illumination Laser was made available online this month, as well as a ROM of the unreleased PAL version of N64 adventure Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine. A trio of Homebrew is announced to be coming soon too, including Neo Geo and Dreamcast shooter Razion arriving in autumn, TurboGrafx 16 blaster Atlantean being released later this month, and finally SNES platformer Dork and Yimp. No release date given for that one yet though. And last up was the welcome doubleheader of news that the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 HD remake project that was cancelled in 2012 has been resurrected, and also that Konami have given its blessing to a fan-powered reboot of the original 1987 version of Metal Gear. Well, this is quite a month for fan translations actually, with 13 in total. Yes, 13. 10 are NES or Famicom games, including Fleet Commander, Ninja Ahoy, Rally Bike, Ninja Hattori-kun, Ninja-kun, Maju no Buken, Chubby Cherub, 1991 Duma Racing, Super Donkey Kong Xiang Jiao Shuan, Chess Academy, and Shik Bik Ji Jin, Sam Guok Ji. Other fan translations include 2 SNES games, Clockworks and Hercules no Eiku 3, Kamigami no Shin Moku, and finally Game Gear title Mahu Kishi Re-Earth 2, Making of Magic Knight. That's all for this month then, but if you'd like to watch my roundup of E3, you can click this link to the left, and also watch my latest top 5 video on the right. Thanks for watching.
Be my guest and let me entertain you!